It's oh, don't mind Destiny 2. It's everyone's favorite time of the year. I get to talk about playing very much Overwatch. I have played some, but I definitely haven't been playing as much as I would before. And you might be wondering, well, but Ryan, the game is so balanced. Like, how are you not playing it right now? And let me just tell you the answer to that really fast. In my opinion, balance does not mean fun. I think a lot of people, honestly, really push this narrative of balance makes the game fun. Which, yes, is sometimes true. But in games like Overwatch, I think, at least for me personally, and I'm sure many other people probably feel the same way about this as well, where this game was at its peak when, like, for the April Fool's, like, buffs and nerfs that they did. Because, you know what? It's just silly fun then. Everyone's broken, and that's okay. There's no, like, competitive balance that you need to take into mind. Everyone's broken, and everyone is having fun because they're broken. And I think that's what this game should aspire to do very often, let's say, because here, let me just show you. So, I think back on that patch, that April Fool's patch, and they were doing some crazy shit, like Reinhardt is flying. Okay, and to be fair, it doesn't need to be that. Like, we don't need it to be the level where Reinhardt is flying around or whatever, that's whatever. But some of these April Fool's changes throughout the years have just been way better changes than in a normal game. This is what I was kind of expecting when they said they would do, like, more often patches, but what we're getting, this is, here, let's just talk, I figured kind of what I want to talk about. So, it's crazy to me that Blizzard still has not found what they are trying to be, because I think it's because they want to have their cake and eat it too, where they want casual players to play this game and have fun playing it. But they also want streamers and high up rank, like Overwatch League shit, they also want that to be, like, fun and viable. Well, not even fun, I don't think they care about that, but they want people to be doing that. And that is just simply not possible with how things are right now. This is so loud, hold on. But it is just not possible, because from a, like, balanced POV, Reinhardt is, like, absolutely one of them, probably the nightmare characters to balance, because I'm sure at the lower ranks, this man is an absolute monster, and at the higher ranks, he's arguably one of the worst tanks in the game right now. And there's so many characters like that, like Mercy is, like, really good at the low ranks, people just can't hit her, but then the higher up you go, the worse she gets. She is still good at the high ranks, and she has times where she's really good in the high ranks, but, like, usually you'd prefer another healer. There's just a lot of characters like that that seem like they're balanced for a casual type of game, but are clearly, they're trying to make it competitively viable, which is just not fair, because you're gonna have characters like Ana who require a lot of skill, with your aim and your fucking ability placement and all that. And then you're gonna have a character like Mercy, who is like I love Mercy, she's one of my most played characters, but she's an easy character for most people. And stays pretty easy. And they have not decided, because their balance is the same way. Like, sometimes they just do, like, most of their buffs, or most of their patches, I mean, are just small buffs and nerfs, which is fun, or is fine if you're trying to be a competitive game. But I feel like that's not what Overwatch... Okay, then now this is just my opinion. I don't think that's what Overwatch should be. I think this game needs to be taken way less seriously. It needs to be a casual game that you hop on and you just kind of mess around and have fun in. And there should be a competitive, but it should not be the main focus of the game, because then you let the, like, esports scene grow naturally, and you get people who, like, I would say, here, let's do some examples. So you might be saying then, like, oh, so you must have liked, like, Brigitte type shit, that type of era. And I do actually, honestly, I think she is a fun character. The problem is when she's so dominant when it's to that level. And that's why it is hard for me to just say, well, you should just do this, because it's not possible like that. But I also think a lot of people just need to... We need a competitive game that isn't trying to be Valorant, man. I'm so tired of every competitive shooter trying to be this super aim-intensive, hard challenge, like... Well, not even hard. Okay, yeah, it should be hard if it's a competitive game, yes. But it doesn't need to be so, like, intensive on your skills. There should, like, Overwatch 1 competitive, the reason I like this so much is it has a lot of emphasis just simply on, like, your skills outside of aim. It's your brain, it's your game knowledge, it's, like, your reaction time. It's a bunch of small things like that that are all very, very important in this game. And teamwork was a massive one, but now in Overwatch 1, or Overwatch 2, I can turn my fucking brain off and just, like, play, and it usually works fine. And I miss that. And unfortunately, that's never coming back, which is always frustrating. But, so, I think that they should, personally, I think they should just fully commit to just being a casual game, because I don't think you're ever going to be able to make the pros happy. They're always going to want more, essentially. You're always going to want more characters, but they're balanced, like, perfectly when they first come out. Like, they're always going to want that. But for casuals, all you really need to do is add a new character every few months, add a few new maps, add a new game mode every once in a while, and that's about it. And I'm not saying you completely forget the competitive... Wow, okay, my aim sucks. I'm not saying you completely forget the competitive players. Like, definitely... And I don't think this is gonna happen, honestly. I don't think this will ever happen, because this is a game run by Blizzard. They also have a fucking multi-million-dollar esports league, so that's not happening. But I do wish... I think that would be the best thing that could happen to Overwatch in years. Is if they just said, you know what? We're done. We're not doing this competitive thing anymore. It's not working. We're not Valorant, and we're gonna stop trying to be Valorant. And then you have this little, like, a organic growth of an esports league that is a completely different skill set from most other, like, competitive shooters, essentially. And I think that's where Overwatch comes in the best. And obviously, I think Overwatch characters there's no competition when it comes to character design. I will say recently, their newer characters are kind of a lot worse, in my opinion. I don't know if it was that their lead character designer leaving. I've seen a lot of people saying, like, you can't be like, say that the lead character designer is, like, making these good characters because he also made Brigitte. But I think Brigitte is a genuinely great designed character. Like, she is a cool fucking character that is a unique playstyle unlike anything else. But she just happened to be super broken from a balanced POV. When in comparison, let's look at these new characters that they've added so far in Overwatch 2. And I'm going to include a few. So, Sojourn is, in my opinion, the most boring Overwatch character. Like, when it comes to character design and story, I'm sure she'll have a cooler story later. But, like, dude, right now she's literally just generic soldier character, essentially. And that fucking blows. And her kit is not fun either. It's a generic, like, spam, and then you get a right click that does a lot of damage, essentially. Which, that is cool, but I don't think it's anything special. Then she's got a slide, which is like, that's like a really boring, that's like McCree / Cassidy levels of just like, oh, this guy gets a roll, or a soldier with a sprint. And then there's also this orb, which was an absolute nightmare. I don't even know why this is here. Literally put anything else, that would be more interesting. And then you, like I said, the railgun. And then her ult is literally, you just can spam your railgun shots, which I don't think is very cool at all. I really think they had I don't know if it was like a original idea and it just never actually happened. But I remember they said at one point they wanted the railgun to shoot through walls. I think that would have been such a cool ult. Like, once again, this isn't going to be, I'm not talking about balance shit from here on because I just don't care. But, like, wouldn't that be such a way cooler ult that makes you feel so much cooler when you're using it as if you're way over, and like I said, once everyone's overpowered, then everyone feels good, except for the characters who are underpowered or someone's super broken, but then you can just nerf that if it's, like, actually to a bad level. Or at least to see them, I'd like to see them try to do that, and if I'm wrong, then I'll eat my words, but I'm pretty sure that would be the best thing to do, and I think her ult would be really cool if I could, like, shoot like, oh, I hit her through a wall or whatever. It only goes through one wall or whatever, but it's broken and it's really cool. Instead of what it is right now, and it can like cleave through targets. That would be really cool for the railgun. Instead of literally just charging faster. So we got Sojourn, who's got not a very cool character design in my opinion at all. And then after Sojourn we got Junker Queen, who I will say, Junker Queen is pretty interesting. So this is her most boring part, is the commanding shout. It just makes you move faster, and that's about it. You get some extra health. But then she has this cool right click, which throws out a knife that makes you bleed, and you can pull them towards you, and bleed heals you. Like, that is all really cool. And you can just stick the knife in there, and you got a different punch. You just keep it in, and it'll pull it back eventually. And then, you've also got this swing of the axe, which at first was kind of boring, because it's literally just like high damage, and then you get some bleed after it. But then they added this thing, where if you, let's see, 8-second cooldown. But then if I hit both of those two, it'll give me a 4-second cooldown because it reduces the cooldown by 2 for every enemy you hit. So it's got this really cool like gimmick in it. And then her ult is it's probably the most boring part of it. Well, no, commanding shout's definitely the most boring. But you just kind of charge towards them, and if you hit people, unlike I did right there, you would hit them with the anti-nade effect. And they'd be bleeding. And it's a fine ult. It's not bad. Junker Queen's definitely the best one, I think, of every hero they've added. And then we got Kiriko, who is, I'm going to be completely honest, really horrible character in my opinion. So far from what we've seen, maybe she gets better. I just really hate her voice, like, lines. Actor does a great job. I don't know why people always shit on the actors when it comes to stuff like this, but her lines are just cringe. It's like she's like 30, I think, technically, but they're trying to make it seem like she's like in her like 20s, like a relatable kid type thing, or someone cringe, or like a cringe person trying to be relatable to the kids. I just don't like her personality, but I do like pretty much everything else. Got this teleport, which is fun. It's not like super interesting, but it is fun. And then she's got this ability I hate. I will not lie. This is the problem, because there's stuff that even though, like, that's super broken, but I don't think that's fun. But I think if everyone was broken, maybe it would offset. But it just makes you immune to bullets for a second and gets rid of any effects, which that's fine. Her healing is fine, and then her, like, super precise headshot type play, that is actually cool. And then her ult is just, you kind of go fast and you can shoot fast, which is alright, I guess. It's nothing too special. And so I would say that she's alright. She's like in the middle tier. I think Sojourn's probably one of the worst. And she's in the middle, and Junker Queen's on top. And then we also got, who else did we get? We got a tank, didn't we? Yeah, we got Ramatra. Ramatra is pretty cool. I will fully admit, he's probably my favorite. But he's not, and it's kind of hard, because I think they did a completely different problem with Ramatra from like McCree, where he has so much happening, man. Like, I got this shield that I throw out that lasts like 8 seconds and can break really fast. And then not only do I have that, but I have the slow field that can pull things out of the sky. Not only do I have that, but I've also got this punch mode where I can just beat the fuck out of things for like 8 seconds. Oh, but wait, what's this? If I ult right as it happens, I can just keep it going as long as the ult's going. His ult also has this like really last forever type feel if you're near enemies, which is cool. But it's nothing like too special. But I will say, I think I like Ramatra, but I think that's just because I'm a tank player. Like, I feel like if this was a DPS, I'd probably say the same thing I said about Sojourn. He has a really cool character though in the lore. So I'd say he's maybe just behind Junker Queen, maybe a little above. But I do not like that he has so much going on compared to other people. Like, you've got the far range staff, which is his normal thing. You got the pull things out of the air and do some small damage. You got a shield that you can keep up, and you got this punch mode, and then you've got his ult, like all in one. That's a lot. Like, that's like I said, the opposite of McCree / Cassidy, where he's like it feels like he's got like 2 abilities. And then now here's easily the worst one in my opinion, and I feel like this might be the first that genuinely doesn't have any influence from the previous character director. And this is Lifeweaver. Is Lifeweaver an interesting character? So far, no. And it is kind of unfair, because all the Overwatch 1 characters have had a lot more time, obviously. But, like, it's been a year since Sojourn came out, and she hasn't had, like, anything. Like, at all. Like, not even an animated short or anything. That one was just bullshit. I don't like that. But from a character design point of view, this character just does not feel good. Like, I don't think many people at all would enjoy this character. Because of his character design. Like, so we've got, and it was even worse when he first came out. At least now he kind of makes sense. So he's got this little platform, which lets you go up into the sky, which that's cool. But it's kind of like just a silly like gimmick type thing. Like, it's not exactly a super like, wow, I feel so good when I'm using it. It's kind of like, oh, okay, this is kind of neat, I guess. And then he's got this ability, which I still think is just absolutely annoying. That ability is dumb, where you can pull people towards you. That's fine. And then he's got this dash that heals you. He's got so many things, and he just feels so boring. Like, he just doesn't feel good. His character isn't, like, super interesting. I don't really blame that on specifically this guy, though, because he, like, just came out. So I don't really have any problems with him not having much of a character right now. But, I don't know, man. Like, I'm sure you can kind of see it. So, you see how all of these characters, especially, I think Life Weaver's the worst. He just is literally not fun. Like, it's rare that a character is just actually not fun at all, but Life Weaver is just not fun. And then, let's compare that to some of the older characters. We got fucking Doomfist. We got Mr. fucking Punchman. He punches real hard. And I would argue that DPS Doom was a lot more interesting, and they kind of toned him down in Overwatch 2. And this is also true for characters like Orisa, who got a rework. Although I would say that hers is still pretty interesting, honestly. But some characters. But Doom has this really, like, good, cool character design. He's inspired by fighting games. Especially DPS Doom, you would, like, hit, like, combos, essentially, and it was really fun. And Doom, good character design. You might be like, okay, well, that's just one character. So we'll just go through three of each. I'll go through one that who's the worst, like, least fun tank? I would say, personally, it's D.Va for me. But even still, look at this character. Like, she is so different from anything else you'd ever find in a game. She's can fly around in this mech. She's got like a spam gun that has unlimited ammo. She can shoot missiles that do like pretty high damage and have range. And then she has this right click, which will absorb damage that is in front of her. Not block it with like a shield or something, absorb it. And then her ult is just you launch the mech and you self-destruct it, and it one-hit kills anything that is near it. Like, that is some crazy character design. And I would say she's the worst tank when it comes to design. Like, she's just not super crazy like someone else. And I would say, as much as I'm not a big fan of Ball, this is probably the best, like, coolest character design. She's got a fucking grapple hook so he can swing around like Spider-Man. It's a giant fucking hamster mech thing. He's got miniguns. You can, whenever he's near a lot of people, he can go to get shields from them, and then he can switch from turret mode to his ball form where he can roll around fast, and you get this momentum going. There's so much here. Like, he is so much to a character. The most boring part of this guy is his ult, which is you just kind of have some landmines, which is not super interesting, but I honestly don't care because of just how, and I'm not a Hammond fan, like, at all. I'm not a Wrecking Ball fan, but he is so interesting. He's got so much to him. He's such a different character. Like, you're never finding this in another game. And then let's compare that to, let's do some DPS as well. So I would say, who's the worst design? McCree is easily. But he is still really cool. He has this decent, this is probably one of the worst Overwatch characters when it comes to design wise. It's just a cowboy with a revolver, but the revolver slaps and it makes him feel real good. He's one of my favorite characters to play because he just slaps. Or Cassidy, I'm sorry. I always do that. And then he's got this roll, which is not super interesting. It just kind of rolls you towards things you can roll in the air. And it also reloads your pistol. And then he originally had a flashbang, now he's got whatever the fuck this thing is. Which, yeah, that's not great. But his ult's kind of cool. As bad as it is, his ult's pretty cool. It's, you just lock onto people and it's a one-hit kill, and you can get as many as you possibly can. You can get like 7, even though you only have 6 bullets on a revolver, technically. And I'd say he's the worst of the DPS. And then we've got, for we've got Genji, who I would say you will literally find nobody else like this in another shooter. Fucking throws shurikens. He's a goddamn ninja. Okay, well, he dashes everywhere. He's got, so the shurikens, he throws 3 in a like volley. They do high damage. Or you right click and he throws 3 in like a line. And then he also has this, where if you dash, you get another dash if you kill somebody. Well, it's like, so like, so if you kill someone with your dash on cooldown, it recharges instantly if you kill someone. So you can do stuff like this. And you can dash out. And that is one ability for this man. He also has a double jump. And not only that, he can climb up walls. So this man's like insane when it comes to movement. And he also has this deflect, which allows you to deflect any projectiles, and is cancelable, which is insane. Like, watch. So I cancel it, and then you just hit him with the dash. That is for, and then his ult, which I would say is the coolest thing. You get your dash when you ult, and you get the sword. That is a 2-hit kill to most characters in the game. Like, that is some fucking, like, what? That is not a shooter character. Like, that is an insane character, and so cool. And he's a cool character in the lore. Fucking cool. And then for just, like, a middle character, I would say somebody, or wait, no, the word, I guess, no, who is a middle? Bastion, maybe? No, I feel like he's got really cool character design as well. Maybe Symmetra. Symmetra doesn't exactly have cool, yeah, no, she doesn't really, from when it comes to abilities. She has really, like, cool potential, but she's got a right click, which is just a fast traveling ball, and then she's got a beam that the more you damage people with, the more it charges up, and the more it charges up, the more damage it does. And then she's just got these turrets that kind of shoot you, which are, like, really just eh. And then she's got a teleporter, which this is the most interesting part of her kit, but it's still not like super interesting. And then she's got this massive shield, which is pretty much invulnerable, and it's kind of nuts. So this I would say is the most boring DP. Well, not most boring. It's the second most boring DPS. And then let's compare that to the healers, who I think have the by far and away I think have the like most unique styles between them. The most boring is Life Leaver, but I already talked about him, so I'm not going to say him. And then let's compare... Oh, well, I guess I should compare most boring in Overwatch 1. So me personally, I would say it's Mercy. I love Mercy, but she is a very simple from a character design. But she is also, like Genji, you will never see this in another game. You've got a shooter game with a character who mostly doesn't even do damage. She doesn't even shoot. She just runs around, she heals up with the staff, and when she's not healing, she has a damage boost. He also has a fly ability that lets her fly to nearby teammates. And if you let that bar charge up that pops up on your screen, you can fly in the direction you were facing. If you just press space or if you press control, you fly up into the air like this. And then she has, in my opinion, one of the most interesting parts of her kit. And something I would have kept if this game was still a casual game, because it is just such a, like, insane feeling, is the res. So you can res a person from complete death, not like they're knocked on the ground and then you can res them. Nothing like that. You can literally res them from the death. And then her ult, this is the most boring part, which is you literally just get reduced cooldowns. You can fly around and you get chain, what's it called? Chain, like damage / healing, like that. You see that, how it goes from one to the other? It'll go through a whole team. And then she shoots fast and can fly like infinitely. Not super interesting. But you saw, that was like crazy. Like that's a lot. And then I would say for a medium healer, I would say personally Zenyatta or Bap are both, no, I would say it's Zen. Zen is a medium healer. He's got a Discord orb that makes you do more damage, which it's pretty broken. I hate Discord orb. If you're gonna have, this is another, just bring back to the original point, this is another thing where if you're gonna have something like this, you might as well make everybody fucking overpowered, because, like, what the fuck? It's so, and especially in 5v5 now, it's so unfair to tanks. It's so fucking annoying, because you just throw it on them and, like, watch. Roadhog, normally, will just charge up a full volley. And I think he tanks it, doesn't he? Yeah, and then he tanks another hit. With this, I think if I charge it 4, I think it'll just kill. Okay, never mind. So it's 4. So it's 1 less. So with the Discord Orb, if I just fully charge this, it's an insta-kill on a tank. A full-on tank. And if I put it on a normal guy, they're 2-hit. Or you just do this, and you're doing insane amounts of damage. And then his ult is just, you heal, like, a lot. You heal a lot. And you're kind of immortal. And you're immortal, and they're kind of immortal in it. Technically not, though. But, and then he's got this little healing orb, and you have to, that's the one downside to these, is you have to be in sight lines for it to stay on. Yeah, there we go. So, Zen is like a very, he's an interesting, because he's got like that yin and yang about him, which is really cool. But that's probably the most interesting part of his character. He's not like a super interesting character other than that. But then you've got fucking Lucio, which is the most like crazy character for a support character in a game I've seen ever. Like, this is supposed to be the medic right now, bro. So he's not like super, I'm so bad at Lucio, holy shit. He's not super overpowered or anything. But he can wall surf, he can fucking wall ride everywhere. And it's like very consistent. He's got speed boost, which makes him go faster. And he can alternate between a speed boost and a healing, which heals his teammates. It's constantly can do that. There's no like cooldown on it. He's got this gun that shoots out fucking sonic waves. And he has fucking this insane boop that just knocks people back. And his ult just gives people like a bonus like 900 health or some shit. Like, this character is insane. Like, what the fuck? Where else would you even find this? Like, what other game? And I would say he's the most interesting, but that's not to slight any of the other characters. We've also got fucking Ana, who is one of the most high skill but really fun characters I've played in a game. Bap, who is another really fun character. You get these boots to let you jump really high. You're a very high damage, like burst damage character. You've got a fucking heal that is like absolutely insane. I think Bap is like, this is what I want all the new characters to feel like, where they have something just completely broken that makes them special, essentially. And then he's also got this burst heal, which is crazy. And his ult is also, you do more damage / healing through it. So when I'm not looking through it, here, we'll see. They're 2-hit, but when I am looking through it, it does that. And then also, it heals significantly when I'm going through that. All that for one character. You've also got Brig. You've got a lot of very interesting characters. I didn't talk about like any of them other than the few I did. But you see what I'm saying. The characters that this game has are so interesting. And if everyone felt a little more cool and a little more badass, I feel like this game would be so popular for a casual like audience. But there's this problem constantly with characters like, okay, I got Big Hammer Man right here, right? This big hammer does not very much damage. Don't get me wrong, it is high damage, but it feels like it doesn't do much damage. And then you've got this Fire Strike, which is hard to hit because it's really slow for most people. Not for me, because I'm him. And then an Earth Shatter, which feels really bad if you're not... Like, if you're not from Overwatch, that feels terrible. And then you've got this shield, which is fucking a joke of a shield. 1,200 health for this thing is insane. It'll get destroyed in literal seconds. You got all that, and then there's so many characters that are just like this. Like, another really interesting character that just gets absolutely, like, he's either super strong or he's super trash, is Genji. Genji is either like everyone's playing him because he's just that good of a character design, and he's like good, or he's been nerfed into absolute oblivion. And that's what's kind of been the life of a Genji player for a while now. I'm not a Genji player, but you see what I'm saying? All these interesting characters, I feel like we should have more loose, like, competitive balance. Like, I feel like you should just let loose. And, I feel like a fun tournament that you could do, even in the Overwatch League, is like an April Fool's patch type of tournament, where everyone's playing on a patch that is just absolutely insane. People are popping off like crazy. You got like 6-man res. You got fucking Dragon Blade that makes you faster, and like all this other crazy shit. And Nano Boost that makes you faster, and Earth Shatter that knocks you down for longer and does like a one-hit kill if you're standing right under it. Like, you can have all these insane abilities that are way more fun to use. But right now they're limited because the game is a competitive game. And Like you can have other abilities, like you have soldiers aimbot fucking old actually hit heads, which I think would be really cool. You can have you can have turrets that you throw out and are fully like their own thing, and you go collect scrap like you did back at the beginning of this game. And Tracer, you can have all these crazy things and all these crazy buffs and nerfs they've had and things they could do if they just weren't so focused on making it such a competitively based game. And that's it for my rant on the Overwatch balance. I think it's fine if you want to be a competitive based game, but you need to make up your mind, Blizzard. Just decide. If you want to be super casual, I will love it. But if you don't, and it's going to be super competitive, I'm not going to be as big of a fan, but please at least commit to it so at least your top players are going to stay. Like, it's just not okay. And that's about it. See ya.